In the newsroom, it's time now for the France 24 debate. It's all eyes on Egypt. Nearly 2 years after the fall of Hosni Mubarak, the country polarized, and it's all coming to a head, it seems. President Mohamed Morsi expected to speak for the first time since last week. That speech may or may not take place in the coming minutes or hours. He caught everyone by surprise November the 22nd when he decreed himself broad sweeping powers. Then last week, the Islamist-led Constituent Assembly rushed through a draft constitution, which is up for a vote next week on December the 15th. It's happening on a day that started with army tanks deploying outside the presidential palace. Authorities insist this is just to keep the peace, nothing more. But the return of the military highlights just how much tensions have escalated. Those soldiers clearing both pro- and anti-Morsi demonstrators this Thursday from the outskirts of the presidential palace after overnight clashes that left at least 7 dead. Today in the France 24 debate, we're asking the question, waiting on that speech, will Mohamed Morsi bend? With us to talk about it from his home constituency of Luxor, Abdul Mawgood Dardari of the Muslim Brotherhood's Freedom and Justice Party. Thanks for being back with us here in the France 24 debate. Hana Youssef, who lives here in Paris, an activist and an Egypt researcher. Also with us, Alexandria-born activist Shahinaz Abdel Salam, and France 24's very own Mohamed Salem from from Monterey, California, and the Naval Postgraduate School. Robert Springboard joins us as well. Thank you for being with us. The France 24 debate, where you can always join the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. You can find us at François F24. Let's begin by listening to the Vice President of Egypt. He spoke on Wednesday. Again, we haven't heard from Mohamed Morsi yet, but here are the words of the VP. Now, again, this is before that overnight violence. This is what he had to say at the time.
The referendum must go ahead by the date that's already been proposed. And there must be a compromise between us and the opposition on some of the disputed points in the constitution.
Mohamed Salem, what can we expect Mohamed Morsi to say?
Actually, I think we cannot expect much. I think he may just freeze his decree in order to satisfy the opposition. But I'm not even sure about that. I think he will never bend concerning the constitution. I think that the constitution for the Muslim Brotherhood is a matter of life or death. I mean, they really stick to it. And I think maybe the maximum he could do is just to freeze his decree and postpone the referendum for 2 weeks or something. But I don't think he can do more than that.
Because again, there's two issues. Is on the one hand, this decree where he has these broad judicial powers, and on the other hand, that referendum on that constitution coming up December 15th. If he were to freeze the decree, does that mean that the judiciary could then step in and say that you can't have a referendum?
Yeah, I think so. Because if he freezes his decree, it means that his decisions are not immune, and then the Constitutional Court could intervene and dissolve the Constituent Assembly that comes from the high and the lower chamber of the parliament. And since the lower one was dissolved by a court before, then it would be completely normal and logical that the high chamber also be dissolved and the Constituent Assembly as well.
But he can send his militia to make if don't make the judges.
I'm sorry, what militia?
The Muslim Brotherhood militia is what we saw last night, and since 4 p.m. in Cairo, while the vice president was talking in his conference news, there were militia of Muslim Brotherhood, very organized. They attacked the sit-in, and they wounded some activists, and they started from 4 p.m. till the morning at 5 a.m. They were attacking people, like a lot of people were wounded, like some dead, and it was really horrible. It was like a civil war.
Among those 7 dead, it's claimed that 6 of them are from the Muslim Brotherhood. So
no, we don't believe this. We don't believe it. And I think it's more than 6 people who were dead. But they are now saying the 6 are Muslim Brotherhood. We don't believe it because we didn't see any witnesses, any videos show any Muslim Brotherhood were beaten. We were all watching, and all witnesses were watching only revolution forces and activists were like beating, were like wounded, and we didn't see that. They are like trying to defend their position by like saying a lie, like every time. They are just doing this lies.
Let's get back to that point in a moment. We're showing you live images now from courtesy of Egyptian television, and you can see a crowd of people in the foreground. A minute ago, you saw there was behind there the road to the palace itself, which was sealed off by those tanks. There you see the broad shot of it. Let me ask at this point, Robert Springborg, when you up to now the army has stayed out of it, and so far it really has just stuck to keeping the peace role in this instance. But when you heard, when you woke up, that there were tanks deployed, what were your thoughts?
Well, my thought was that the military had sided with the Brotherhood. If indeed there was an obvious way by which this violence could have been averted, and that was for the Brotherhood, which is presumably led by President Morsi himself, to order the militia, as one of your previous speakers characterized these thugs, to cease and desist. But he did not do that. And there was a meeting at the presidential palace with the head of the Republican Guard, with the Minister of Defense, and with the president. And a decision apparently was made at that point to call out the military. So this suggests the military is not only, of course, discussing matters with the president, but is essentially sided with him to deter further demonstrations in front of the palace. Now, there's absolutely every right in the world for those demonstrators to be there. So it's the military is denying Egyptians the right to demonstrate, and indeed, in this sense, siding with the thugs. So this is suggestive that the military, at least at the moment, is on the side of Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood.
Abdul Mawgood Dardari, your thoughts on the violence of the past 24 hours?
Let me first say that it is very unfortunate that the thugs that belong to the National Democratic Party, Mubarak's party, were able to kill Egyptians last night. And it's amazing. You tell the other speaker that 6 of those who are killed are members of the Freedom and Justice Party, and then she tells you, no, that is not true. Hey, come on. Let us stop lying to the foreign media. 6 are killed as members of the Freedom and Justice Party. If you don't believe this, go to the villages, go to the funerals, go to the hospital, and you will. Everyone knows in Egypt that 6 are killed. Concerning the military is not part of this. And military does not side with the president. The military serves the interest of an elected government elected by the Egyptian people. What we see now is an alliance between the opposition, the political opposition, and the remnants, the corrupt remnants of the old regime. And there was a political crisis, and that political crisis should be solved through the key word that we need to have in Egypt now is dialogue. If the opposition fails to communicate its own concerns with the ruling party, with the government, I think it is the failure on the opposition. It is very unfortunate until the time I'm talking with you now. The opposition did not condemn the killing of peaceful demonstrators who went there to protect the legality of, there was a democracy. And imagine something like this happens in France. 2 candidates were running for election. One wins, the other loses. You don't expect the supporters of the losing candidate to go into the streets and to throw bombs and throw stones at the presidential palace in Paris. That is very unfortunate. That is still some Egyptians are not willing to understand the importance of democracy. In any democracy, people run, people win, people lose. Then they go on back onto normal business and live their life normally and work so that the country can move forward. it's very important now.
But it's
just
not.
one
But
thing.
it's not a normal. It's not a normal democracy when the president decrees himself broad judicial powers.
You see, that was very much a necessity, and as in the previous speaking, there was
To be a dictator is a necessity.
Please
just let me finish, please.
No, because
If the president freezes the decree today, the politicized courts are going to go in tomorrow, dissolve the upper house, and dissolve the constituent. What can you do with a politicized court other than to protect the interest of the people, to protect the interest of the revolution?
we don't trust you.
Intervene.
That's it. We don't
The
trust the Muslim
president-
Brotherhood. We don't trust
Please
Morsi.
let him finish.
Let me just finish, please. I
No, because
trust you.
you are
I'm
saying
going
a
to
lot of-
listen to you.
Please let him finish.
Okay.
So the president had to move so that the interest of the Egyptian people. And one last thing I would like to say: what is wrong with respecting the will of the Egyptian people? In 1 week,
Like,
we're all going to the ballot box.
no
Egyptians have
one
the
will
right
go
say-
to the ballot. It's
let
your
me-
constitution. It's not our. It's not
Please.
our constitution.
Please.
It's not the
You can't
constitution
speak
of
for
the
the
revolution.
Egyptian people.
It is the Islamist
No, you can't.
constitution.
Please, let me finish.
No, because
Please,
you are telling
finish.
people
Just let
wrong
me-
things. I
just
have to
let me
defend
finish,
my
please.
people. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, let me finish.
Yeah.
I am a member of the parliament. I represent the people of Egypt. You're
Yes.
not.
Yes.
So please let me finish.
Morsi
Just let me
won
finish,
with
please.
51% after our
That's
support.
fine.
Morsi have
This
only
is
5
what-
millions of Muslim Brotherhood who support
I
him
can't
during
talk like
elections.
this. Either you,
Okay.
I will listen to you, but you have to
Yeah.
listen to me, please.
Yeah.
If you're really part of the opposition and this is what you would like to raise your voice, I cannot participate in this. You let me finish so that I can allow you to finish your statement. You say President Morsi won with 51.8%. That's fine.
After
That
our
is
support.
democracy.
All right,
Don't
please.
forget, please.
Please. This is democracy. This is what happened in France. This is what
No,
happened in
don't
America.
compare, please. Don't compare.
Please let him
Let me just-
finish. Let him
Okay.
finish.
May I finish, please? Just less than 10 days, the Egyptians are going to vote. If you don't like, you can just say no. And let the people of Egypt decide, please.
Let me-
Stop talking on behalf of the Egyptians. The Egyptians are well educated, they're mature now, and they will decide what they want. If they say yes,
Yeah, you give them
have to
like
listen.
foods and
come on.
money
I
to
can't-
vote. Yes, we
I
heard witnesses
cannot say
yesterday from people in Egypt. You
No,
give them
no.
money.
I want to bring
and,
Hana
yes.
Youssef in because we haven't heard from her
No,
yet.
that is very unfortunate
No,
that
we
you
have
interrupt
witnesses.
me like this.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
Go and ask your people.
Hana Youssef.
I want to say a little thing just before going into discussing. There is a concept called tamkeen, which the Muslim Brotherhood follows. Tamkeen means, my translation, enabling, which means that they follow a principle that anything is allowed, including lying, to fulfill the point. This is something that is very known. So the Muslim Brotherhood, also in they have nothing against lying to fulfill a point. And so therefore, no matter what this person, I don't remember his name, says, we all know that they have nothing against lying to get their point across. So going over to what he says about...
But this is a debate, and everybody has a point of view.
Yes, I know.
You can't call a person a liar.
I'm not calling
it's
a
the
person a
politics
lie. I'm
of-
talking in general about all the decrees
you.
that have come out
No, you
from the
didn't
Muslim
call me a liar.
Brotherhood.
That's not right.
And previously, they practiced this thing called tamkeen. I mean, it's nothing personal. About the referendum, about the words of democracy, we have witnesses on the ground describing what has been happening. We have videos on the ground describing what is happening.
In the past few days.
In the past
Yes,
few days, in the past 24 hours. We have videos showing how the central security forces are working with, let's call them thugs, or let's call them militias,
Yes,
are working
militias.
with them, advancing and shooting into the demonstrators and then receding so that the thugs can go forward. We have eyewitnesses that I have talked to personally and videos. So we cannot say that that they are armed.
All right,
I'm sorry, just one last thing.
Sure.
And the argumentation that they arrest from Mubarak's National Democratic Party and that they are, there's also international conspiratory things. These are the same arguments that have been used by the Mubarak regime and still being used today.
Mohammed Salem, let's talk about the facts. Casualty tolls up until yesterday, what have you been reporting?
Last thing I saw, it's that it almost reached 700 or something.
Injured.
Exactly. And I think what the Ministry of Health in Egypt declared, if I'm not mistaken, is 3 or 4 dead. And there were talks about a fifth one who is actually a journalist working in Al-Fajr newspaper, but seems he's still alive. I think he was shot in the head. And I know personally a colleague of him who was tweeting yesterday and saying that he died, but apparently he didn't. So I think there are lots of injured, almost 700, as I said, and I think 3 or 4 dead. I haven't heard about 6 or.
We can show a map of how the unrest has really spread though over the last 24 hours. Muslim Brotherhood offices ransacked in Suez, Ismailia, Alexandria. You can see on that map. Clashes reported as well in the Nile Delta in Mahala. And at the same time, we can also show you, now these are images from the Reuters news agency of a senior Muslim Brotherhood official, Sobi Saleh, in hospital. He's a key member of the Constituent Council. He claims his car was burned by protesters. He, when you look at those images from Alexandria, and there are images of him there, you see him being bandaged, those given to us by the Reuters news agency. Again, and I put this question to you, Shahinaz Abdel Salam, it seems as though the violence is coming from both sides.
Yeah, last week also we have Abu al-Azz al-Hariri, who is from the socialist movement. He was also beaten exactly like the same thing. Muslim Brotherhood didn't, or the president, because he is the only responsible of what is happening, and he didn't do any effort to know who is beating his or even put fire in his some of the Muslim Brotherhood places or the party of Muslim Brotherhood. But I want to tell.
So you're saying in your hometown of Alexandria, it was the Muslim Brotherhood's offices were ransacked.
Yeah, it was. I think also it was. It started 1 week ago or more. But there was no. I mean, investigation of what is happening or who did this. Who knows who did this? We don't know actually. And this is the responsibility of Morsi, and he don't do that. Yes. Last night. We can say we saw that some activists were like targeted. Ola Shahba, she's also from the socialist movement, and she was kidnapped. And she was like, they put her in a kiosk for 5 hours, and to liberate her, some people were contacting and negotiating with the Muslim Brotherhood leaders.
All right.
They were like.
When we come back, we're going to take a look at how the violence can be stopped, and also the position of the outside world. Stay with us. This is the France 24 debate.